Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Jessica. Welcome back. I had a few emails from colleagues and friends who asked me, hey Jessica, can you tell us what on earth you mean by being a transformational sociologist? We know you talk about enabling places, but what does this all mean, being a transformational sociologist? So I'm going to tell you what transformation actually means and who it impacts and why it is absolutely essential for each of us. So pop the kettle on and bring your cup of tea and join me on understanding what transformation means and what you can do about it. I am Dr. Jessica, your transformational sociologist. To give you some background, what this means is that I work with people just like yourself to enable you to craft your place in the world, to craft your place to one that enables you to thrive, not just for your benefit, but also so you can benefit your community, your family, your country, and the world. I also work with organizations, be it councils, universities, governments, or private organizations, to transform their places so they can enable their people to thrive. Right, let's get to it. What is transformation? Transformation is a process of profound change that occurs on multiple levels. Now, take a piece of paper and write down if you have encountered transformation in any of these levels: personal, organizational, societal, or even global. What that basically means is that it involves a shift from one state of being or one condition to another, often leading to significant growth and development. So, we're going to explore the essence of transformation and its various dimensions in this video. So, what on earth does transformation mean to you? So, I'd like you to write down and jot down points as you go through this journey so you can then post in comments what it actually means to you and areas in which that perhaps you might want to make a shift. And then we can go through some strategies on how you can make that shift. Because you see, transformation is an inherent part of the human experience. And it's everywhere. It's not just for human beings, it's also in nature. Just check out a caterpillar. It metamorphoses from into a butterfly through various stages. And likewise, as human beings, we go through various stages in life and we move from one to another. And hopefully, this process of transformation is one of positivity and greatness, one that makes you a better human being. How can this happen? It comes through overcoming life's challenges because, my friends, change is constant. If all you're praying for is let me not have change, then your life will be boring. It will be one where you do not learn or transform. Acknowledge that change is constant, but recognizing that can enable us to transform our lives and craft it into something that we want it to be. The nature of transformation is basically a process of profound change that affects the essence of who we really are. Or it affects the nature of the entity, of who the organization really is and who the society is. So it's change and transformation happens at every level, whether it's just you as an individual, the organizations that you work in or belong to, the society you're part of, and your nation. But for transformation to occur in a way that we want it to be one of growth and sustainability, we need to design it. We need to be intentional about the transformation that we make. But transformation is not something superficial. It's not just you waking up one morning and just on a superficial level saying, Oh, I've changed. I'm a totally different being from what I was yesterday. That's just surface level, you see, because transformation takes time, it takes commitment, it takes determination, and it goes into your in depth beliefs, values, and behaviors of who you are. Now, if somebody is telling you that if you give them $10,000, they can change you in 10 days, I advise caution, because you see change and transformation on an whether it's an individual level, an organizational level, a societal level, or a worldwide level, takes time. It can only happen one conversation at a time. It can only happen one change at a time. And with persistence and determination over time, true transformation occurs. And this true transformation is lasting, it's not superfluous. What are the catalysts for transformation? Generally, transformation emerges after significant life events, challenges, or turning points. Now, why don't you note down? Have you had any? I mean, look, we've all, at various levels, we've all had significant challenges or turning points in our lives. Have you been confused, not really clear on what you could do with those turning points in your life? How did you handle it? What did you do with these catalysts? You see, these catalysts can be both internal, so it could be personal insights or awakenings, or external, such as technological advancements or societal shifts. For example, internally, like I've generally always been a half full kind of person, but I've been through so much in life. I just was quite disillusioned internally because my failing, I'm not sure if it's a failing, but this is just me. I often give where you need to give people two, three chances, I'd give them 50, 100 chances. And I always used to think if only I can explain things a certain different way to them, people will get it. And then I found myself digging myself deep because I didn't realize the skill that, look, people have the right to be who they want to be. I don't need to always put myself in a situation where I wasn't transforming for the beta. And I know I said this happens over time, but the actual moment happens in a moment. So through I first acknowledged it that, look, I cannot always change people, I must always be there for them, but I need to also know to step away when I know some relationships are not probably productive for me. And that internal shift, while the journey I was in was quite a long journey, the internal shift happened in a moment. So that's, and internally I realized I learned that I wasn't going to hate or I wasn't going to get angry about it, but I was also going to have boundaries set in place to enable myself to live in peace. So that's an internal shift. Now, externally, I've lived in so many different places. I have been externally shouted at, yelled at, even sometimes even slapped at, and all these things externally affected me. But having being a glass half full kind of person, I was like, I'm okay, it's all good. Look, it is all good, but the importance is you must also acknowledge it. Look, these were trauma that affected me, and this is how I'm going to deal with it. So and then moving to a new place where I didn't know anyone, where I felt no one even cared for me, must have been trauma. But then I put systems in place on how I can still continue to transform myself despite having external circumstances that changed my life. So that's just my example. Now your examples might be totally different, but they are equally important nonetheless. So, and the key for learning for you is to acknowledge it, accept that these things are affecting you, and then put processes in place and uh, uh, take on how you can move from where you are, whether internally or externally, to a path of transformation. Now, this could come by you just self-reflecting on by yourself, or perhaps contacting an elder in your cultural setting that you trust, or a coach, a qualified psychologist or a counselor, a teacher, a pastor, whomever you trust, but recognize that it is a journey that you must take with intent and it is a journey of persistence and determination. I decided I wasn't going to stop until I know I have changed. And also on an everyday basis, I remind myself that I'm on a journey, that I must be intentional about the new me, my identity, my life, a path of transformation. Now, transformation, like this is the key question that people ask me. Now, you were helping towns and places succeed. What does this have, sociologists have to do with transforming people's life? You see, my research looked at the impacts of identity and trauma on people based on where they live. Then I took it further by reading, I must have read hundreds of books, and academic and non-academic, learned, read case studies and life experiences of people, spoken to hundreds of people, and understood that transformation is key, whether it is on a personal level, like that is you, the human being, changing yourself, an organization, society, or country. So, firstly, let's look at personal transformation. You see, on an individual level, transformation can be deeply personal and introspective. Now, introspective, for those of you that want to know what that means, it's looking within yourself. Let me repeat that. I think for those of you who couldn't hear that part of the seminar, I hope you can hear me now. There was a glitch in the IT system. No, so introspection basically means looking within yourself. So uh, I'm Dr. Jessica Gray. So my full name is Sneha Jessica Gray. So Sneha Jessica, looking at who she is within. Who am I within? What are the identities I associate with? What are these identities, both genetic and otherwise, environmental, societal? I'm a mix of all the places I have been a part of, all the cultures that I have been a part of, all the education that I have been a part of, my friends, my family, my experiences, both good and bad, both getting awards and both getting beaten up in an Indian street. All that is a part of me. So I need to first introspectively look within me, acknowledge the strengths and weaknesses, so then I can put processes in place to intentionally change my life. You see, personal transformation is not always an easy journey, but it is a journey that will empower you. It will help you tap into your true potential, leading to enhanced well-being and a more profound life. Now, I live in a very small town, a very small area called in New Zealand called the Eastern Bay of Plenty, and I have advised and mentored several people in this area, many of whom have got different challenges to me. Some challenges include that they have simply been put down because of the town they lived in, their culture they associate with, or simply being not economically vibrant. You know, all those things has impacted who they are. So true success for them came from looking within them, acknowledging their strengths and weaknesses. And for some people, it was acknowledging their culture, their backgrounds, and using the strengths of that culture to then move forward into a transformative journey. Now, wherever you are in the world, write down your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats by looking within you as we move forward to the next step of this journey. Now, I can talk about it for hours, but flick me an email if you would like to have further discussion. But so that, in brief, that is personal transformation. Secondly, we look at what is organizational transformation. See, organizations can be private organizations, government organizations, schools, whatever, you know, and generally places you work, at places of worship, cultural places, whatever, the clubs, whatever the organization can be, can transform and adapt, and it must to thrive in the market. Look, I also I've got knowledge in marketing and PR, and I've given marketing and PR advice to companies, and in line with crafting their place in the marketplace, organizations that do not adapt or change fall and die. Market especially for-profit organizations realize that if they don't keep changing to suit the market, they're dead. And you must, if you're an organization, you must craft a place in the marketplace that makes sense, that is relevant. And that same goes for, governments, political organizations, or if you look at the British monarchy, they are a key example of how they try to keep changing, and not always maybe because they want to, but to adapt, keep hold on to the old, but also adapt to the new so they can be relevant. Politicians likewise, I mean, the politicians that get voted in are not always politicians that have the best answers to everything, but who know how, they can read the room, and they can craft their place in the world based on what the marketplace is telling them, what their people are telling them. So if you're an organization, crafting your place in the world is very vital too, to stay relevant, to stay profitable, and to stay in this world. Churches are another example. Let me give you an example of a time. The two times I have been to the Eternal City, yes, Rome. The first time I went, look, I'm not here to blame any one pope or the next, but I am a firm believer that leadership comes from the top. The first time I went many years ago, there was chaos. I mean, people were standing outside the Vatican trying to rip us off, and they did rip us off. It's just a wrong look for the Eternal City. The second time we went was more recently, before COVID, when, of course, with Pope Francis being at the helm of the Vatican. I could, as somebody who's passionate about understanding how places are crafted and places change, based on the leadership. My goodness, what change did I find in the Vatican? They were friendly, they were role models on what they were trying to be. They were accepting of their faults. I physically could feel the change. The atmosphere, the spirit of the place had changed, because the leader at the top, I believe, is able to read the room and adapt their organization to suit the realities of the market. So that is organizational transformation. The other kind of transformation is societal transformation. On a societal level, societies too are always changing or must change, to adapt to the place that we are in. Now, this is an area that I know quite a lot about. I did a lot. My doctorate was, partly on this subject, and this is a subject I have explored for many, many years, over a decade. So societal transformation, the identity of a place. Do you know places have identities? When you think of Rome, what did we think? Eternal City. When you think of your city, what do you think? When you think of New York, you probably think vibrant. When you think of California, you think Hollywood. When you think of India, you think of yoga and the beautiful mix of cultures in that place. Think about different places and think, what is the first thing that comes to mind? And what are we thinking about the society? When I think of Australia, as a child growing up in the 70s, I've often had a not very positive, um, reputation of the place because of their policies to people that were not white. you know whether we accept it or not, that was a reality of Australian politics at the time. So as a 70s child growing up in the 80s, I didn't necessarily have a positive outlook about that society, but that society is changing too. And New Zealand is much more progressive in our outlook toward accepting all people, and we still have a long way to go. America reminds me of how these societies, the micro societies, differ when you go from one place to the other. So I'm not sure which society you live in. And England, or the United Kingdom, like, we're all, being a part of the Commonwealth, we're all associated with England in some way, and the English society is changing too. And it must change to accept the varied populations that now call England home. If you don't, you will die, whichever your society is. But societies can change for the better. Russia is an example of how perhaps society is not changed for the better. There are countries that are very close and they promote a certain perspective, promote false ideologies that I consider false. And just to be clear, the ideologies that I consider false are ideologies that oppose freedom of speech, that human beings are all free. Maybe others don't think that's false, but in my view, that's not conducive to my way of thinking. So societies are also framed by all our thinking. So you need to first change yourself on a personal level so you can then influence society. So all our society is looking at the past in the present to create a desired future. So think to yourself, what desired future are you crafting? How is the place in the world going to be in the future for your children and your children's children? I, for one, want my children to live in a place, in this beautiful place where all the people in this land live with unity, where everyone's strengths are acknowledged, where the first New Zealanders, which is the Maori people in this land, are acknowledged that the, the Maori culture has got lots of positives that I really think we're missing out on because we are not accepting that as part of our mainstream culture. And through it, we can create a society where we are one, where we are stronger together. And likewise, America's got lots of subcultures within you that can create a country that is greater than you are today, a country where freedom is paramount, true freedom, not just calling yourself name, branding yourself the land of the free, but being truly free. And England, a country which is influenced many other countries. How can you as a society continue to be the leaders in the world and the leaders of freedom, of free speech, of progression? India is going to be the greatest economy in the future, but how can you create a society that is not corrupt, where uh, all peoples, regardless of which caste they are considered equal, where everybody has got equal opportunity, where you can acknowledge your mistakes? India is corrupt, and how can you together work to create a more fairer society that is not corrupt, so you can become more center stage in the world? I'm not going to really talk about societies that I feel are not giving their people freedom. And if you are part of that society, look at how can you craft your personal transformation so then you can impact your society to be more free than it is currently. You see, wherever we are in the world, transforming either others or our society has challenges. If it doesn't have a challenge, then if it's easy, everybody will do it. Well, some of the challenges can be fear of the unknown, challenges on what will people think if I change? Is it dangerous to challenge the status quo? Like, for example, when I was talking about India or England or America, I was thinking, should I be saying it? Will I offend someone? Then then I realized, no, I am an expert in it. I am not just making this up. I have read a lot of peer-reviewed news articles, other trustworthy sources to know that these facts are real. So how can we acknowledge it and then move forward? Because without which there will be no true transformation. I might post what the Apple advertisement, which in my mind, it's called the crazy ones. In my mind, that's the best advertisements ever done on all humanity. I'll see if I can post this here. We need to have the courage to be a little bit crazy to transform ourselves. Only then will we leave a lasting legacy behind. And it's not even just for a legacy, it's to live a fulfilled life, a life of joy, a life of contentment, a life, we have one life. What we must embrace change, people. We must do our best to bring out the best in ourselves so then we can bring out the best in our communities, our society, our culture, and this world. Final point is, how do we do it? It's in here. The power of the mind. Look, you ask any psychologist, counts, or a neuroscientist, they will tell you we don't really truly understand enough the power of the mind. There's still we understand a lot about physical bodies, but we've got a long way to go in understanding the role of mindset. And that's where people like me come in. Just to be clear, I am not a qualified psychologist. I am I have done psychology courses and currently undertaking a diploma in psychology again, because my last education was about 20 years old. And, constant education is key to a good mindset. But, psychologists, qualified psychologists, these are people with degrees in psychology. I'm a sociologist, not a psychologist, but I have learned human behavior in and out. And I know that the role of mindset plays a big part in whether you're a winner or whether you just lead an average life, whether you can transform your life and that of your society, or whether you just live, you were here and then you were gone. So today I encourage you to understand the power of mindset. It could be through introspection, looking within. It could be through reading books. It could be, look, I read a lot of books, and I do not just read academic books. I read all kinds of books, from John Maxwell to Tony Robbins to Jim Rohn, and to academic work on people that have written on people, place, and identity, human behavior. I didn't need to do another diploma in psychology, but I'm doing it because I just want to keep on top of things so I can then serve the people I serve better. And in an effort to understand mindset, the role of mindset in changing my life, and through me channeling it to change you and the people I serve. So look at how you can change your mindset, cultivate an attitude of gratitude, cultivate an attitude where you're willing to listen to other perspectives, ponder on it. Sometimes people tell me things that they're doing something different. I like change, but change for the change sake of change is just a waste of time. So recently, someone told me, something like about why they don't follow the one way of life, but they follow another. And at the outset, I thought, oh, they're just changing because they for the sake of change. And then I thought, I'm not going to comment on it. I'm going to sit on it and understand where they're coming from. And when I did understand where they're coming from, look, I don't think they should leave everything in this particular way of life they were talking and going totally to the other. But there was value in what they said. I think I need to accept some of their way of thinking too. So in the middle, we find balance. And in balance, we find transformation. In calmness, you find greatness. In stillness, you find transformation. So today, my friends, if you've listened to this talk, which is longer than my normal talks, it means that you're in some way, shape, or form interested in transformation. You know what? Well done on coming so far and listening to me. Congratulations on sticking with me. Congratulations on this transformative journey. This is an extraordinary journey that I guarantee you, if you persist consistently and with determination, will move you from a life of mediocrity to a life of greatness, to a transformed life that doesn't just transform you, but your family financially, uh, in through inner peace, through comfort, and in every way that you can only not even dream of in your wildest dreams. And through that, you can transform your society and the world. So well done on getting a snapshot of the different kinds of areas in which we can transform our lives. I hope today is just the beginning of your journey. I wish you well. And if I never ever hear from you ever again, that's fine. Sparkle wherever you are. But I do hope I do hear at least some of your stories of transformation on how you have transformed your life, simply so I can cheer you on. Post in comments or send me an email, or follow me on Facebook and send me a Facebook Messenger on how you have transformed your life. My website is www.drjg.co.nz. My Facebook is Dr. Jessica Gray, PhD. LinkedIn is Dr. Sneha Jessica Gray. And this is my YouTube channel. My friends, if you've liked this video, click on subscribe and share it so many more people can transform their lives, and give me some more ideas on how you're transforming your life. I would love to hear it. My friends, until next time, sparkle wherever you are. This is Dr. Jessica Gray signing off from the beautiful shores of the Eastern Bay of Plenty, New Zealand, from the furthest corners of the world. Stay safe, be true, and keep sparkling.